For a long time in the Nintendo Switch's early years, Mario Odyssey 2 seemed like more of an inevitability than a game we could theorize over. Almost everyone thought this game would eventually release, for reasons I'll get into later in the video. But as the years went on and no sign of Odyssey 2 came from Nintendo, it kind of faded slowly into obscurity. But within the past, I'd say 6 months or so, a fair bit of stuff has happened, including patterns being recognized and tangible leaks, like actual Photoshop files that have somehow found their way onto the internet that do point towards Odyssey 2 potentially not being that far off. So what's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Top, and today I want to recap you guys all on everything we know about Super Mario Odyssey 2. Does it even exist? If it does, will it come out on the Switch? What'll be in it? All that and more in this video, because we're just going to talk about Mario Odyssey 2. Alright, so let's start it off with a quick recap, and timestamps will be in the description, so if you want to skip to a future chapter, you can. Basically, Mario Odyssey came out in October of 2017, the Switch's first year, and while it got small updates, notably Luigi's Balloon World and a bunch of costumes, there was never any new content added to the game, which made many people think Nintendo was saving that for Mario Odyssey 2. I mean, there was a bunch of unused content that we found in the concept art book that released alongside the game, and it's a well-known fact that during the development of Mario Galaxy, they had so many ideas that they didn't end up using that's how Mario Galaxy 2 ended up, existing. They were originally going to make an update to Galaxy. It just became, more and more and more because they had so many ideas during development, and then Mario Galaxy 2 came out for the Wii. It seemed like that was the case for Mario Odyssey. I mean, Odyssey is a phenomenal game, but they really didn't even scratch the surface of Cappy, the capture mechanic, cap bounces, all that stuff. I mean, they didn't scratch the surface of what's possible with that, and that's why Odyssey was so fun. There are so many ideas that you can derive from this ingenious gimmick that people thought it was almost a guarantee that when we didn't get any new content updates, that's because they were saving it all for Odyssey 2. And then we went a couple years without any news at all. Then we got Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. While Bowser's Fury is not a brand new 3D Mario game, at least a full one anyway, it is definitely a smaller experience developed by the 3D Mario team that lended some credibility to Odyssey 2 not being a thing that was coming out soon. I mean, why would the 3D Mario team, if they're also working on Mario Odyssey, do this other thing that isn't really required, because it's not like other ports had these big side modes? So then people thought, oh yeah, Odyssey 2 might not be a thing. But recently a bunch of stuff has happened that has kind of flipped that idea up on its head, and that's what I want to talk about right now. So now that you're all caught up, let's start with the leak, because this is what, in my opinion, is the most important thing and arguably the most tangible thing to point to and be like, oh yeah, Odyssey 2 is definitely coming, and this is why. So AstroSeedP on Twitter somehow got their hands on the uncompressed and original files for the main Mario movie poster. You know the one. Now this includes the PSD with all the different layers, so you got Mario and the Toads and whatnot on one layer, you got the logo, you got the background. Now I've classified this as a leak because it's 100% real. This came out right after the original trailer, a couple days after, and the quality on this is absurd and no one's been able to debunk it yet, so I'm classifying it as an actual leak, and no one knows where AstroSeedP got this either. I couldn't find him reply to anyone and explain it. Some people are thinking maybe he got it a press release by Illumination themselves, but then I feel like other sources would have also leaked it and put this out there, so I really don't know how he got this. But regardless, if you remove Mario from the poster, which obviously you can do now because it's the complete file with the different layers and whatnot, and then zoom in all the way down here, yup, that's the Crazy Cap. For those of you who somehow don't know, the Crazy Cap is the flagship store within Mario Odyssey. There's one in literally every single kingdom. It's how you buy different hats and costumes for that game, which is a Mario Odyssey staple, the only Mario game in which you can use your coins, buy the costumes. Obviously the Crazy Cap is purple and yellow themed because of the purple regional coins and the yellow, normal coins. And not only do we see the purple building, but it's confirmed because you can see a little bit of the logo there, and obviously a bunch of hats outside, including a top hat and whatnot. I mean, hey, it looks kind of, like the Bonneton top hat. I don't want to be the one to say it, but so it's clear that the Crazy Cap will be in the Mushroom Kingdom somehow, which is odd because it's a specific reference to Odyssey. Again, this hasn't, appeared anywhere else. And besides that, if you look at, I'm assuming this is Captain Toad, but the main Toad, voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, you can see on his backpack a Mushroom Kingdom badge, but then also a Toast Arena and Cascade Kingdom badge. Obviously, those are both Mario Odyssey kingdoms as well. So while yes, there seem to be references to all sorts of Mario games in the Mario movie, it's clear that there's a heavy focus on Odyssey. Why would Nintendo place a heavy focus on what's gonna be a 5.5-year-old game for their movie instead of just making it, a generic cap store or a generic, badges on the back of his backpack? Well, a lot of people, including myself, think it's because we are going to be getting Mario Odyssey Odyssey 2 later on in 2023. I mean, if you continue to think about it, it does kind of make more sense. Nintendo loves to have 2 Mario games every year at least. And this year we did get 2 Mario games, but those games were Mario Strikers Battle League, developed by Next Level Games, and Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, developed obviously by Ubisoft. The core Mario team, or any Nintendo Mario team that's like in-house at Nintendo, did not have to put out a Mario game this year. Maybe that's because they're working hard on a grand return to the Mario Odyssey universe to come out later in 2023. It would make sense too, timing-wise, if you consider that Breath of the Wild 2, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in May. In 2017, that game came out in March, so kinda, you know, similar, early start of the year in spring-ish. Mario Odyssey came out in 2017, the same year that the original Breath of the Wild came out, but just at the end of the year, in October 27th to be precise. Mario Odyssey 2, following the exact same schedule, releasing later in the year after Breath of the Wild 2 released earlier in the year. I mean, it's perfect, it makes sense. So does any of this confirm Mario Odyssey 2? No, obviously not. But if you're looking at this and not thinking that it adds credibility to the fact that Odyssey 2 would come out next year, I'm sorry, but you're out of your mind. Everything in the Mario movie is an opportunity for Nintendo to market one of their new future games to the widest possible, you know, target population. This whole movie is essentially a commercial for Mario. You already know tons of kids are gonna be sitting in there watching this movie and then maybe want to go play a Mario game. Having a new Mario Odyssey come out for the first holiday season since this movie's release is, I mean, it's a great idea. But enough about if it's gonna happen, let's talk about now what should be in it if it eventually does. I personally think they're gonna reference the movie, but they're not gonna go crazy on it. I think we will definitely return to New Donk City, as New Donk City is kind of Mario Odyssey's de facto like default kingdom. It wasn't the first one we saw of Odyssey, that would be the Sand Kingdom, but it's the one everyone thinks of when they think of that game. On top of that, there's a pretty high chance that we get to see Mario in New Donk City at the start of this movie. I mean, thanks to various theories and whatnot, a lot of people believe that Mario's gonna be starting off in a city, working under Foreman Spike, who's a confirmed character, and then get transported into the Mushroom Kingdom as we see in the trailer. That city will probably end up being New Donk now that we know that we're in the Mario Odyssey universe, as Toast Arena and the Cascade Kingdom are here. Now that I said why I think it's probably coming, I want to talk about what will be here. The main thing I want to mention is multiplayer. I mean, you've seen it in these images that I've literally shown throughout like the entire video. Hell, even the logo I added in Luigi's hat pretty terribly in Photoshop, might I add. But I think this game has to have multiplayer. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but like a bunch of YouTubers do modded multiplayer in this game, and it seems to work great. So I don't know why they don't just make it an official, you know, thing. They added online multiplayer to 3D World, so hey, like they could definitely do it for Odyssey. It's possible, and it would be really fun. Nintendo, please, 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 please. We'll definitely get some return to older kingdoms, such as New Donk and probably Sand Kingdom, Cascade, and some of the more iconics. But there's a bunch of potential for new kingdoms. Like, think about it. We never even got an underground kingdom. That's insane. Underground levels are one of the most iconic types of levels in Mario history. On top of that, there are so many different captures that they could take. When you realize that the Mario universe has so many iconic characters and enemies and creatures that weren't capturable in Mario Odyssey, there's literally infinite amount they could choose for Odyssey 2. And on screen right now, I have a video talking about 50 of them. If you've already seen that video, then I've got one that has 100 kingdoms, and that'll be on the right side of the screen right now.